Oh my gosh, outside is so sunny. I love seeing the sun, guys. It just makes me so happy. But I want to talk to someone about something. I did speak to God about something similar last week. But there's someone that's feeling a little bit hurt or discouraged or a little bit scarred, and it's the worst feeling, not the worst, but one of the worst feelings is like seeing someone that you gave a lot to, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family, whether it's just someone that you're romantically involved with, seeing someone that you gave a lot of yourself to, loyalty, integrity, love. You put up with a lot of nonsense from these people or this person, and then seeing how they treat other people after you. Seeing that man or that woman got into a relationship and they treat that man or that woman with love and respect, but with you they were very disrespectful, they hurt you, they mistreated you. Seeing that parent treat another sibling with love, respect, but they mistreated you. Or seeing a friend have loyal friendships after you, but when you were their friend, they didn't care about you, they weren't loyal to you. I want to say something to you. It's so important to not allow the way how people treat you to dictate your healing process or to dictate, your future, because sometimes we are going to be that sacrificial lamb, that lesson, in order for people to learn. You have to remember that we, at one point, someone else were our lessons too. At one point, we may have done something we regret doing and looked back at it and been like, okay, wow, I wish I didn't do this, or I regret doing this. And because you have learned from that, you move forward in your life being cautious enough to not make that same mistake, because you've received wisdom and knowledge from it. Just because someone doesn't come to you and apologize, or just because someone doesn't come to you and say, I was wrong about this, just because someone doesn't come to you and bring you closure or clarity, does not mean that they didn't learn from what they did, or they didn't receive wisdom from what they did to you. Does not mean they were not convicted. A lot of times people think that conviction means they have to apologize, and not necessarily for everybody. Some people, they will reach out and apologize because they're unable to move forward without doing that. They need to apologize to be able to move forward, to make peace, not just for you, but for themselves, to be able to, move forward in life. But then there's some people who, they may not have done all of that based on pride and ego, but the conviction was enough for them to say, I'm never doing this to another woman again, or I'm never doing this to another man again, or I'm never doing this to a friend again. I've learned my lesson from this person. We, as human beings, not everybody, but majority of us, we mature as we grow. We mature as we grow. And when you get to a certain age or a certain place in your life, you start to realize that the things that you were into in the past no longer serve you or no longer are interesting to you. And you also start to realize that as you grow and get older and mature, that in life you just want peace. In life you just want to be happy. In life you just want to be content. You don't want to have to worry about drama all the time. You don't want to have to worry about feeling bad, and when you come across or have an encounter with someone who is a child of God, who God does not play with, in the moment you may feel like you're getting away with so many things, but as time goes on and that you and this person no longer communicate, you start to notice things in your life not working out. You start to notice that ever since that person left your life, things haven't been the same. You ever hear that saying, you don't know what you have until it's gone? That's what happens to a lot of people. Some people don't see your value and your worth when you're around them, because they become so used to you being loyal, so used to you being a people pleaser. They become so used to your kindness, they don't ever think they're gonna lose it. They think it's always gonna be there. And when God pulls you away and says, no, this is not the man for you, this is not the woman for you, this is not the friend for you, you're not supposed to associate yourself with these people. That's when they realize that they did have something valuable in their life, because they no longer receive the same type of treatments as before. You may be that really good woman that may have been with someone you weren't even married to, but you were cooking, cleaning, rubbing their back, rubbing their feet, or maybe you were married, you never know, but everyone's situation is different. But let's just say you were that type of woman, and God told you, no, that's not your person, and you're tired of the mistreatment, you're tired of the abuse, you're tired of all that nonsense. And God said, no, it's time for you to leave now, because they're not respecting you, they don't love you, and they're not treating you according to how I need them to treat you. Then once you leave, this person may feel like they can live without you, and then all of a sudden years go by, months go by, or years go by, and they try dating other women, and they're having a hard time finding someone that has your characteristics and traits, because they realize not a lot of women like to clean, like to cook. Not a lot of women are nurturing. A lot of women, they just want to be pampered to. They don't want to cater to or be submissive to a man. It's hard to find a good woman nowadays, right? And that man is going to always remember you. Remember when they had that type of person that held them down like that. And now seeing how hard it is to find that. Vice versa. You could be a man that had a woman that loved her, treat her with respect, loved her like Christ loved the church. And she may have saw you as a punk, a simp, a soft guy. She may have thought you were not hard enough because you have a good heart. And then ends up mistreating you, and you leave her because God said no, and now she's having a hard time finding a good man. Now every man she has an encounter with is cheating on her, is lying on her, is mistreating her, and she can't find a good man. She's going to always reflect back to when she had you in her life. So sometimes we are the sacrificial sheep. Sometimes we are the people that God will use to enter people's lives and to teach them a valuable lesson. And because of that, their lives could be changed. Just because someone doesn't come to you and say, hey, ever since that we disconnected, my life changed. I've been a better man, or I've been a better woman. Sometimes people are not going to come to you and say that. You're going to just see it. You're going to see it with their next person. You may see that man that God said just is not for you, but you went through a lot with, and you really loved, and you had to leave. You may see them treating another woman right, and you may feel scorned or feel disappointed, like, man, that's not fair. Not realizing that you're the one that literally taught him a lesson, and losing you was what had to happen for him to be a better man for that other woman. Vice versa. But because you're so worried about or focused on what someone else is getting and what you didn't get, you may not see it that way. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes in order for, let's just say that God does want the person to come back in your life, and it is someone you're supposed to be with, like your husband or your wife or friend or whoever. Sometimes if God does want the person to come back, and it is someone that's supposed to be in your life, sometimes that misunderstanding, or I wouldn't say misunderstanding, but I would say more like that, whatever happened between you guys that caused separation, for them to change, to come back to you, sometimes that is what had to happen for them to be able to be that better man, better woman, better friend for you. You know? Because had you stuck around and put up with what God didn't want you to put up with, you would have been putting up with that for the remainder of your life, maybe for the rest of your life, maybe for a portion of your life, and you may have wasted a lot of years, and there would be no coming back. You see what I mean? There would be no coming back. Depending on the situation, because everyone's situation is different, depending on situation. But had you not had that separation period, had that person not lost you, they would not have come to that revelation of what it's like to live without you, what it's like to lose you, in order for them to be like, man, I didn't even know they were a chosen one, or I didn't know that they're valued like that. Man, God really spoke to me when he or she left me, or when I lost him and her. God really spoke to me. Man, that wrath I just went through when God removed him or her from my life really changed me. Really made me realize that I want to be a better woman or man, or a better friend. You see what I'm saying? And that lesson may have changed that person, so when they come back in your life now, they come back a whole better person, if they're supposed to come back in your life and God has told you this and God has approved that. There's employees in the workplace who are so mean. Not employers who are so mean and who are unfair. And there may be that one child of God that is so loving and just wants to make everybody happy, and that employer may have taken advantage of that child of God, and God may have told that child of God, okay, it's time for you to leave now. You served your season there. He didn't want you to leave right away. God wanted you to stay for a period of time, and you endured that mistreatment, and then God says, now it's time for you to leave. And you finally leave. You start a business, and you now have a multi-million-dollar business. And that employer sees that you have a multi-million-dollar business. And the employer sees that the skills that you have for your business, to grow your business to that level, to that extent, was the exact same skills that you were using at the job. And they chose not to promote you. They chose not to elevate you because they were so mean and they disliked you. And now they lost out. That lesson, yes, you were mistreated. You went through some unfairness. But that unfairness and that treatment that you went through taught that employer a valuable lesson. And you didn't go through for vain, because God blessed you. But it taught that employer a valuable lesson. Now, every employee that comes in that workplace now, that employer is treating them with fairness, honesty, and is humble. So sometimes God will have you have encounters with people in order for you to humble them. And sometimes the humbleness does come from your mistreatment. You know? Not to say God purposely put you there to be mistreated, no, but if you were in a situation where you were mistreated and God had to put a wrath on someone because of it, chances are they've learned from it. They've learned from it, you know? And whether they come to you and tell you they've learned from it, we all learn from experiences. We all gain wisdom from experiences. So don't always look at people mistreating you or seeing someone else change. Don't always see that as it's not fair because they were not like that with you. Or don't always see it as a bad thing, but see it as you could have been someone's lesson. You may have taught someone how to love without even realizing it. You may have taught someone the importance of not judging people without even realizing it. You know, just by your presence being there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, don't let things like that, don't rob yourself of healing because you're focused on the unfairness of seeing someone else being treated better. Don't rob yourself of the unfairness because you could have been the very person that taught that person a lesson as to why another person's being treated with fairness. Right? So, yeah, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have encounters with people who are going to love you and treat you with kindness and fairness. Like I said before, that woman or man or friend may have changed and come back in your life, and because of that lesson, they're more of a better friend to you. They're more of a better husband or wife to you because of that lesson. Or someone else may have been their lesson and they come to you now and they're a whole changed woman or man because of what they experienced with someone else. Right? But remember that God will also make sure you have encounters with good people. But at one point, we've all been a lesson, or someone has been a lesson to us at one point. Okay, so I just want to tell you that. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.